On January 31, 2000, Alaska Airlines Flight 261, a McDonnell Douglas MD-83 aircraft, was en route from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, to Seattle, Washington, with 88 passengers and 6 crew members aboard. The flight began smoothly, but what was to follow would become one of the most tragic aviation disasters of the early 21st century. The aircraft was cruising at an altitude of 17,000 feet off the coast of California when it experienced a mechanical failure that would ultimately lead to its catastrophic crash into the Pacific Ocean near Point Mugu, about 17 miles north of Los Angeles. The first sign of trouble came at 3:14 p.m. PST, when the flight crew reported to air traffic control that they were experiencing an unusual noise and vibration. At the time, the captain, Ted Thompson, and the first officer, Robert L. Sweeney, were in the cockpit. The flight had been cruising for several hours, and the crew initially assumed that the issue was minor. However, it soon became apparent that the situation was much more serious. At 3:24 p.m., the plane's autopilot disconnected, and the crew manually took control. They noticed a loss of control in the aircraft's pitch, indicating a more severe issue with the plane's flight surfaces. The cockpit crew tried to troubleshoot the problem as the plane started to descend. They discovered that the plane stabilizer, the key control surface responsible for controlling the pitch of the plane, was malfunctioning. The stabilizer's trim, which adjusts the angle of the horizontal stabilizer, was jammed in a full nose-up position, which caused the plane's nose to pitch up uncontrollably. At 3:28 p.m., Captain Thompson made a distress call to air traffic control, declaring an emergency and requesting to descend to a lower altitude. Within seconds, the situation grew more desperate. The airplane was now rapidly losing altitude, and the crew was fighting against the plane's erratic pitch control, which made it difficult to maintain level flight. The crew continued to struggle with the malfunctioning stabilizer as the plane descended toward the ocean. Air traffic controllers offered assistance, but the situation was worsening by the second. The flight crew attempted to troubleshoot the problem, but they were unable to regain control of the aircraft. At 3:32 p.m., just 8 minutes after declaring the emergency, Flight 261 crashed into the ocean off the coast of California. The plane hit the water at a high speed, and the impact resulted in a violent explosion, instantly killing all 88 passengers and 6 crew members aboard. The subsequent investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, revealed that the crash was caused by a failure of the plane's horizontal stabilizer trim system. The failure was traced back to a worn-out component to jack screw that controlled the movement of the stabilizer. This component had been inadequately maintained, and over time, it had developed excessive wear that led to a catastrophic failure. The NTSB also found that Alaska Airlines had failed to properly inspect and maintain the jack screw. Despite warnings from technicians who had noted problems with the stabilizer during previous maintenance checks. In particular, the lack of proper lubrication on the jack screw led to the wear and eventual failure. The crash of Flight 261 was a devastating tragedy, and it had a significant impact on both the aviation industry and the public. The NTSB's investigation highlighted serious lapses in maintenance practices at Alaska Airlines, and the airline was forced to make major changes to its maintenance and safety protocols. The incident also led to a wider reevaluation of maintenance procedures across the aviation industry, particularly regarding the inspection and upkeep of critical flight control components, like the jack screw that contributed to the crash.